My coworker spread rumors to get me fired. She succeeded. What she didn't know is that I'd already been offered the role above hers. We worked the same floor for 3 years, same title, different accounts. She handled retail clients. I handled consumer brands and one pharmaceutical account. On paper, we were equals. In practice, she treated the floor like territory she'd already claimed. She was good at her job. Organized, sharp, client savvy. She also kept a careful mental ledger of who was gaining on her. I showed up on that ledger around month 4. The first sign was small. I won a pitch that got a shout out in the all hands. 2 weeks later, she was presenting a nearly identical framework to her own clients, calling it something she'd been developing for months. I let it go. That was my first mistake. Over the next year, she inserted herself into a client relationship I'd spent 3 months building. Told my contact she was co-managing the account. My contact believed her. When I went to our director, it got flagged as a miscommunication. Technically resolved, but something had shifted, and I felt it in the shorter emails, the longer response times. By early the following year, I was on a 3-pitch winning streak. Our managing director started pulling me into director-level sessions that my coworker had previously been the only account manager invited to. She noticed. The dynamic shifted overnight. Colleagues went cold, subtle, short replies where there used to be conversation, skipped lunch invites, the kind of politeness that maintains plausible deniability. My account coordinator pulled me aside one afternoon, said someone had been telling people I'd been stealing credit, that a pharmaceutical pitch I'd won in August had been mostly her strategy, and I'd presented it as mine. That pitch had been built in my apartment over 2 weekends. Version history in Google Slides, time-stamped to the minute. 4 months of email threads where every strategic call came from me. 3 documents with my name in the file properties. I went home and documented everything I could. The next week, HR requested a meeting. They told me they'd received concerns from multiple sources about attribution practices. 3 pieces of work, all built from scratch by me. I submitted 14 attachments. Version histories, email records, file metadata. HR said the situation was complex. 3 weeks later, they called me in with a separation agreement. What they didn't know, what she definitely didn't know, was that 3 days before that meeting, my director had called me at 7 p.m. There was a new role, head of brand strategy, reporting directly to her. She'd had me in mind for 3 months. Watched the pharmaceutical relationship, the new business run, the way I'd handled everything without making it a scene. The offer letter arrived the next morning. Significant jump in salary. Oversight of 4 senior account managers, one of whom was her. I signed it Wednesday night, told no one. The next day, HR handed me the termination notice. I took the separation agreement, folded it, put it in my pocket, and told them I'd need to review it with counsel. Phil from HR walked me to the elevator and shook my hand with both of his. The universal corporate gesture for I know this is wrong, but I cannot say that out loud. The badge clicked off when the doors closed. I stood in the lobby holding a cardboard box with a small plant on top. I smiled, not because it didn't hurt, but because I had a signed offer letter in my email, and the woman who'd spent 6 months dismantling my reputation had no idea. My attorney declined the separation terms. Then a colleague who'd been at the company 8 years called me, said she'd been present for 2 conversations where my coworker described the pharmaceutical pitch as mostly hers, and confirmed she filed the HR complaints. She was willing to put it in writing. That became the linchpin. My attorney drafted a demand letter, defamation claim, complaints timed directly to my inclusion in director-level sessions, and a signed executive offer letter in the file of the employee they'd just terminated. The general counsel responded in 4 hours. External investigators reviewed company email servers, found a thread she'd sent to a former colleague the week before the first HR complaint was filed. In it, she described her plan to address the attribution issue before it becomes structural. She had written it down on a company server. Settlement came 3 weeks later. Full expungement of the termination. Non-disparagement clause dropped on my side. Formal disciplinary action internally. The offer letter had never been rescinded. 4 weeks after the termination, I walked back in at 8:45 a.m. Took the elevator to the director's floor. My name was already on the door placard. Facilities had done it over the weekend. I put my coffee on the desk and opened my laptop. She was gone by the end of that month.